Here's what happened on week 4 of the Greenhouse Season 4. As a reminder, this week was Monopoly Week, and players were competing in a special silent auction using Monopoly money. Actually, it wasn't really Monopoly money, we just wrote numbers on different pieces of paper that we literally ripped apart. But hey, the budget is part of the charm. Players could choose one of 4 rooms to stay in for 5-minute rounds. There were 6 rounds with an intermission in the middle. Players could only speak with the people in the same room as them, and they could not return to a room in back-to-back rounds. They were also able to share money with each other. Additionally, the players would have to prepare for nominations because right when the challenge was over, the nomination ceremony would begin. Seth made clear that his strategy wasn't to buy one of the powers. Instead, he wanted to help others pool money in order to guarantee their win. That way, he thought he could get their support while staying under the radar. Ruby, while downstairs, put a bid on 2 seeds. Upstairs, Gavin put a bid on 2 seeds as well. The first 2 rounds were mainly people talking about their different strategies and approaches to the Monopoly game. So let's skip right to round 3. Kim bid $150 on immunity. Kelby put all $500 of her dollars on immunity. And upstairs, John Michael and Ava were alone. They agreed that they could work together to make sure that one of them got one of the powers for the week, specifically the double nominating Sunflower. However, downstairs, a group of 5 was by the Sunflower itself. Gavin, Ruby, Ross, Dylan, and Seth all agreed to work together to get all 3 of the greenhouse powers, Sunflower, Rose, and Tulip. Ross would go for Sunflower, Dylan would go for Rose, and Ruby would go for Tulip.
I am working with Ross, Seth, and Dylan, and maybe Kim. They say that she's a part of our alliance, but I haven't talked to her in a few rounds. But I also really like Ruby, so I'm like side working with her, and I like everyone else, so trying to just like not be in a power move so that I don't have to take out people that I'm working with, practically working with everyone, but main alliance, Ross and Dylan.
At intermission, Seth pulled Kim to the side and told her the plan about pooling. Dylan and Caleb discussed the previous round's vote and how Dylan really should have gone home if Victoria's allies actually voted with Victoria. But they didn't. They were talked out of it. On the other side of the house, Ava and John Michael tried to recruit Gavin into their Sunflower pooling plan. The group then grew. Seth also revealed that he was already part of a bidding plan and that he was going to give his money to Ruby so that Ruby could get the Tulip. Inside, Ruby told Anthony that she was trying to get the Tulip, but she would make sure that no matter what, Anthony was safe this week, because as Tulip, she should hopefully have influence over the Sunflower and Rose. Outside, John Michael told Anthony about his plan to pool for the Sunflower, and Anthony gave him money. Seth has been getting closer to Ava and Ruby in the game. He pulled them to the side and asked about their relationship with John Michael. Ava revealed that upstairs she and John Michael made a strong pact, and that John Michael felt comfortable with Seth. Seth was automatically on board with trusting John Michael. However, when Ruby mentioned her close bond with Anthony, Seth said that Ruby would have to choose between Anthony and Seth, because if she was close to Anthony, she couldn't be close to Seth. Ruby immediately distanced herself from Anthony. At the end of the intermission, it was time for round 4. And in the first room, all of the members of the pooling strategy plus Ava and Kelby were together. Kelby revoked her $500 immunity bid in order to contribute to the cause, and Ava was fully roped in. The group began discussing nominations. There were only 4 people outside the room: John Michael, Caleb, Kim, and Anthony. Nearly everyone spoke up for Kim and said that they did not want to see Kim nominated. Ruby really spoke up for Anthony, saying she didn't want to see Anthony nominated. And Ava really spoke up for John Michael, as did Seth. That left Caleb as the only person not spoken up for. Gavin, Caleb's closest ally, didn't really say anything. So the group agreed that Caleb was the target for the week. Everybody put money into Ross, Dylan, and Ruby's envelopes so that they could make their move in the following round. Meanwhile, John Michael put all of his accumulated money on the Sunflower, hoping that he would win the challenge. Caleb realized he hadn't used any of his money yet, so it was time to get moving. On round 5, the large alliance moved forward with their plan. Upstairs, Dylan bid all of his money on Rose, and in the laundry room, Ross put all of his money on the Sunflower. Kelby said that she would be comfortable functioning as a pawn for the alliance. She'd get a seat as one of the Sunflower nominees, and fewer enemies would have to be made. Upstairs, Caleb was ready to bid on Tulip, but Ruby revealed that she received money from other players, so Caleb could not outbid her. He held on to his cash. For the final round, downstairs, Dylan, Kelby, and Ross discussed nominations. Dylan said that he wasn't comfortable nominating Caleb because he's close to Caleb and has no reason to target him. Ross said that he was comfortable nominating Caleb, and he'd also nominate Kelby as a volunteer pawn to receive a seed. Dylan then would have to choose between John Michael and Anthony. Dylan has already nominated John Michael before, so Dylan felt comfortable nominating John Michael again.
I put all my money in on the Sunflower, and I ended up getting some extra money from Anthony. So I'm hoping I get the Sunflower. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I just really want to secure my safety and nominate 2 people because, you know, why not? It's the first jury member. I just don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal.
So, Michael, who are you feel like you're close with at this point in the game?
Sure, so absolutely got Anthony and Ruby, and we have Victoria, but by Victoria. So Anthony and Ruby, absolutely. And then, oh God, I hate saying this, but Ava thinks like we're really close. And like last time I was in this room, Ava said like, I told her that I trusted her if she was in the greenhouse. I don't trust her one bit. She worries me. So, and I already made an agreement not to put her up, and I'm not getting blood on my hands because she's dangerous. So she'll have to stay safe this round unless Dylan puts her up, which cross my fingers he does. So at the moment, Ruby, Anthony, keeping her under my wing, and Gavin under my wing, and hopefully working with them on the side to kind of hop along. So yeah.
In the laundry room, Anthony bid on the extra vote. Caleb ultimately did not use any of his money. Upstairs, the Pollinator still had no bids. The Pollinator is a new power, and it could do one of 2 things. First, it can revive the Venus flytrap once that the Venus flytrap is used, or it could add an uproot to the auction for 1 round only. The Pollinator expires at the final 8. Kim was the only person in the room who still had cash, so she tossed some on the Pollinator. At the end of the challenge, the prizes were flying. Gavin and Ruby each won 2 seeds. Anthony won the extra vote. Kim won immunity, and she also won the Pollinator. The 3 flowers for the week went as planned. Ruby won the Tulip, Dylan won the Rose, and Ross won the Sunflower. Ross nominated Caleb the Target and Kelby the Pawn, while Dylan nominated John Michael, as planned. Immediately after the challenge, Caleb asked his closest allies, Gavin and Ross, how he ended up on the block. They explained that there was a pooling strategy in order to get Ross the Sunflower, and Caleb was one of the few people outside of the group, so it was a 3 out of 4 chance. They wished him the best. Ross and Gavin felt very guilty about the situation, but Ross said that they should keep pushing forward, while Gavin voiced that he wanted to tell Caleb the truth. John Michael was convinced he was the actual target, but Ava explained that it was likely Caleb who was the true target here, and that John Michael shouldn't be worried. Upstairs, Kelby said that it would probably be smart if she did not bid on the uproot, so that way someone else could drain seeds and they could just vote out either Caleb or John Michael, whoever doesn't get the uproot. Dylan suggested that Kelby play for herself and buy the uproot. He knows from experience that the block is stressful.
We survived the block last round. That was insane. I low-key was convinced I was going. but I was just begging, straight up. Like, I was begging different people, and I think it worked because Anthony voting to save me over Victoria was insane. Loki, that was not good on his part at all. He probably should have booted me. Same with Ruby, but it worked out in my favor. I don't have much loyalty to them. I didn't actually feel really close with Caleb, and I feel terrible about this. I don't want to see him go, but I don't think I have much control in that, and it's a matter of keeping myself safe. So,
What do you think made Caleb the target here?
I actually have no idea. That came out of left wing for me. I still don't even understand why that came about, because I don't know, I feel like Caleb's kind of not a non-threat, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ruby and Anthony both assured John Michael that they would work to save him. Ruby has the tulip power and can block votes, so they're confident that they could work things out to make sure that the majority of votes don't land on John Michael.
So Ruby told me that Seth is for sure coming for me. Seth has been coming at me this whole game. Don't really know why, don't love it. But my plan is to get him out first. So going in the past, I've been hesitant to try and get in the greenhouse because at a point I was like, don't want to paint too big of a target on me, but at this point it's like, fuck it, the people are coming for me. I don't know if I can say that. Oops, the people are coming for me anyway. So I'm gonna go for it because I feel like it's getting to the point where Seth is getting numbers, and if I don't take Seth out, then he's gonna take me out, and I plan to keep playing. But Ruby told me that she is kind of working with Seth at the moment, but ultimately her allegiance is to me, and Seth told her that if she and Seth are to continue, I can't be in the game. So I think when it comes to it, Ruby's gonna have my back.
Who's your closest ally right now?
Ruby. It's Ruby, John Michael, and surprisingly Kim. Kim kind of snuck up on me as an ally, but happy to have her. But yeah, definitely most worried about Seth. Little worried about Ross and Gavin, but those two only because I have not spoken to them as much. But Ross not putting me up to me feels good, unless he's just luring me into a false sense of security, which, you know, who knows. But
Dylan tells Caleb that Caleb is likely in danger this week, so he needs to try to go for Uproot. Caleb has at least 3 seeds, so he can go for it.
I'm freaking out because everyone who's going to be left in this game I'm pretty close with. There's like maybe 2 people that I'm not close with, and I felt like Kim would be an easy one to take out, but then she and Gavin like kept like benefiting each other, so he said that he's not gonna try and get her out. And of course she has immunity this round, but she wasn't a target. So I feel really bad about Caleb, and I need to talk to people to figure out who I'm voting for, because Caleb's so nice. Like, it should not be a landslide, you know. I don't want him thinking that we all like don't want him here. So this is so stressful, and also I'm worrying that I'm like doing too much. I'm worried that people are gonna be like, you're next, because you are very like scheming, maybe. Another thing is I was like really confident about my alliance with Seth, but then he told me information that he was trying to get me in on like pooling money in, but he only told me that after like I pulled him aside to talk. So I'm like, come on, buddy. I said, in every conversation I'm mentioning your name and I'm boosting you because you're pretty low on the totem pole, to be honest. So it's very weird that you didn't tell me about this sooner. So I'm getting weird vibes from him, and he keeps saying like next round's gonna be like so hard, like next round's gonna be crazy. So I'm like, are you gonna turn on me? Really? Because we had a pretty sweet deal going on. So if he tries to turn on me, I feel like I can unleash the dogs on him, perhaps. Just anything to save myself. That's it.
John Michael is still very concerned about going here, and Ruby gives him a seed to help calm him down. John Michael's up to 2 seeds now.
What's up? Oh my god, I'm finally in the greenhouse. And I'm so excited. I wanted to do Tulip specifically because I didn't want to burn any bridges by nominating somebody specific, but I also wanted the feeling of immunity and then just like the privilege of having people come spill their life to you. I wanted that. So yeah, my alliances, no idea where they stand. I still definitely feel very loyal to John Michael, and I still feel loyal to Anthony, but that's a little up in the air because if he's being ostracized in the house, I don't want my association to him to ostracize me. So that's where I feel right now, still playing the waters. But yeah, still very nervous, but feel a little bit better since I have immunity this time. So yeah, that's right.
Caleb asks his alliance that he's been in since week 1 whether or not he should be worried about going home. Ava says everyone should be worried. The group advises Caleb to play for himself and go for the uproot. And Caleb does. He walks over to Holly and bids 3 seeds on uproot. As that bid is happening, Ross gives Kelby one of his seeds to push Kelby to 4 seeds, which can outbid Caleb. The group agrees to keep piling seeds to make sure that Caleb stays on the block and goes home. Kelby bid 4 seeds on uproot as planned. Outside, Anthony and Seth discussed their beef in the game. Seth lied to Anthony whenever Anthony was nominated, and they haven't really spoken since. They clear the air, but it's honestly still tense. Gavin tells Caleb that Caleb is the target of the majority alliance. This surprises Caleb because he's thought this whole time he was part of that very group. Gavin explains that the group is planning to outbid Caleb no matter what. By Holly's auction table, John Michael begs Kim for multiple seeds. He says that he just wants a shot at trying to win the uproot, and if his bid fails, he will give all of his seeds to Kim. So she has a shot at getting up to 5 seeds out of this deal. Kim ultimately agrees because she wants to try to keep things fair and even between the 3 nominees. However, Caleb is right outside the window and sees this transfer happening. This is right after Caleb's been told that he's the target. And now he sees one of his allies giving his biggest competition on the block 3 additional seeds. John Michael bids 5 seeds on the uproot, and Caleb confronts Kim, who says that she was just trying to keep the game fair. But Caleb doesn't think it's very fair that his alliance has completely turned on him at this point, and he makes that clear.
I've been loyal with all of you, and if you vote me out, I'm gonna feel betrayed by every single one in this room.
Caleb moves 2 of his seeds onto the seed dice. If he wins the dice, he can roll it and get that number of seeds. Kim was a little bit shook after the confrontation from Caleb. She says that she wants to throw a pity vote his way. Dylan's on board for this and said no one would really be mad at Kim if she does this, and it'll help her down the road since the jury phase of the game has begun. The 2 move outside and Kim returns 3 seeds to Dylan. Dylan expresses that Kim is his closest ally, and he hopes to go to the end with her. Ruby's looking for 2 people to block. She wants to block Gavin because he's so close to Caleb, and he will likely not vote for Caleb to go home. Because the group thinks they have enough votes to send Caleb home, Ruby agrees to block Ava's vote. Outside, John Michael and Caleb bond over both feeling like the target of the rest of the house. They agree to work together no matter which of them wins the uproot.
He has a chain and like a velvet jacket. If you had a pinky ring...
Dude, I just didn't wear it.
He has a pinky ring.
I lost. It's a little gold Pandora pinky ring.
He would have been like an Italian mobster. And he has a mustache too.
They tell me that at work all the time.
Well, you have a mustache, you have chest hair, you wear a gold chain, you have a pinky ring, and you have this jacket.
Hey, it's velour. Hey, what can I say?
Have we seen The Sopranos?
Hey, fucking accent. Hey, too much Sopranos. Big fucking Sopranos guy.
This guy eats veal parmesan.
Hey, listen. Always 4 times a week. Don't even get the fucking numbers twisted.
At this point, Caleb starts to campaign against Kelby for the upcoming vote. He tells Ruby and Anthony about the alliance that was started at the beginning of the game, and names every person in the alliance. This is the red team, Seth and Kelby, the purple team, Kim, Dylan, and Ross, and Caleb's team with Caleb and Gavin. Ruby and Anthony honestly don't really react to this information and just kind of nod. Caleb then goes to Seth and explains that he's been way more loyal to Seth than Kelby has. Kelby was the one who voted out Brock, and Caleb was the only one who didn't vote out Brock. If anything, Caleb was the only person who didn't betray Seth in the second week of the game. Seth responds by saying, "You know, it's difficult. It's difficult." Anthony asks Ruby about what she wants to do at this banishment. She says that she wants to send Caleb home and explains that she'll be blocking Ava and Gavin to make sure that happens. Kim grabs Ruby and asks for a banked vote. She really doesn't want to vote in this banishment and doesn't want to vote against Caleb specifically. Ruby agrees. Ruby tells Ava that she plans to block Kim instead of Ava, and Ava's cool with it. At the end of the auction, John Michael won the uproot for 5 seeds and pulled himself off the block. The final nominees were Caleb and Kelby. Caleb won the seed dice and rolled a 3, so his total seeds are at 4 now, and Ruby blocked Gavin and Kim's votes, as expected. At the banishment, Caleb gave one last plea to try to stay in the game, saying that Kelby was part of a majority alliance and that most of the people voting were not in that alliance and should vote Kelby out. But it was too little, too late, and Caleb became the first member of the jury. Things are heating up, and there is one more round to go before we call it a night. Who will be the second juror? Find out next week on The Greenhouse, Season 4.